everybody gets the same, but because it's now worth.
Okay, I'd like to call the August 14th, 2025 Plan Commission meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Jerry Wells.
Here.
Rick Slybaum.
Here.
Angie Claycamp.
Here.
Kendra Zumix.
Here.
Don Bruce.
Here.
Dave Eggers.
Present.
Dave Early.
Here.
Jason Kleber. Brian Terrell.
Here.
Shell Parker. Bernie Hausberger.
Here.
Okay. Are there any corrections to the previous meeting minutes?
Make a motion to approve as stated. Second.
All in approval say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Jeremy, first case, please. First resolution.
First thing on the agenda tonight is the introduction of the resolution 2025-01. I will turn it over to Chris, let her tell you exactly what this is.
Okay, in front of you, you have, as Jeremy stated, Mr. Gray, excuse me, Resolution 2025-1. This is step 2 in a 4-step process. The city's redevelopment commission is seeking to amend the Jackson Park economic development area by adding 7 parcels into that area. And in order to do that, there's a series that needs to be followed. The first step is for the redevelopment commission to pass a declaratory resolution, which they did at their previous meeting. You have it at your stations. It's their resolution 2025-03 for your reference. And this is step 2 in the process for the Plan Commission to review the Jackson Park economic development area amendment and determine whether that conforms to the city's development plan. Should you find that it does in fact conform with our development plan, you would approve the resolution before you tonight. And should you pass the resolution, it goes on to council, and should they pass, it goes to a public hearing back at the redevelopment commission. So feel free to look it over. I think the resolution for you to consider tonight has been in your packets. I snuck the redevelopment commission in just before the meeting, so you haven't had a whole lot of time to look at that. The last page of the redevelopment commission's, I realized this was important information for you to have in considering, so I put this at your stations. It has a map. The blue highlighted areas are existing parcels in that economic development area. The yellow parcels are the 7 being considered for addition to that economic development area. Let's see. And there is a breakdown of those parcels on the third to last page, excuse me, of the redevelopment commission's resolution. 2 are for the Wawa that's coming to town. 3 parcels are for future development to be determined. 1 parcel is for the Indian American Water Company water treatment plant, and the 7th parcel is owned by Vital Farms. It's being captured to get it into the economic development area. It was not included the last time this plan was amended, so we're including it now.
If I got any questions from the board?
Oh, you're fine.
Is the Vital Farms just the brown piece or the entire parcel blue?
So the Vital Farms will be the yellowish, brownish, orange color, the small parcel in the upper right-hand portion of that map. I know it's hard to see.
Well, they're using part of the blue area too.
That's correct. The other blue area that's contiguous to this new parcel is already owned by Vital Farms.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
and they own the proposed additional parcel. It's just this would bring that into the economic development area along with their other parcels.
Got it.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. We'll vote at this time.
Thank you.
Nine to one. 9-1 with one deny.
9-1 with one absent, that's what you say.
Okay.
Has been approved.
So it's been approved 9-1 with one absent. One against.
Okay, next item on the agenda tonight is PCM 5-25. Mindy Delp is the petitioner. Petitioner is requesting to rezone the property at 1292 Colonial Drive from C2 to R1. I believe she's wanting to build a house there.
Petitioner here? Yep.
Just explain to us
Well,
what you
say
want.
your first, your name and your address, please.
It's Mindy Delph, and the address is 1292 Colonial Drive.
Thank you. Go ahead and present your case.
I'm just wanting to get my property zoned from commercial to residential to build a single-family home.
Okay. Is anybody here to speak in favor? Anybody opposed? No? Okay. Questions by the commission?
I think everybody's seen it. There was a home there one time before, and then
I was
It's
gonna
on
say
the
that I believe
airport, yeah.
it was residential before, and then you thought you wanted to do something commercial.
right.
So basically, you're asking for it to go back to
Yeah, the people
residential.
we bought it from made it commercial,
Yeah.
was residential.
Thank you for building in Seymour.
Is that serviced by
Presumptive.
city service, sanitation sewer? or-
Yes, yes. Private road, but it does have city sewer.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else you want to say? No? Okay. Motion? No motion? Okay, we'll vote. I'm covering all my grounds.
Thanks, Don.
Be out of here in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
10 with one.
Okay. Passed with 10 and 1 absent.
Okay, that'll be
Thank you.
forwarded on to city council. Chris, will you have that on the next one?
Yes, that will come before City Council on August 25th in this room at 7 p.m.
August 25th at 7 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
What that is, you got a favorable recommendation from the council. That's how rezone.
Right.
Just for the audience, tonight, for both rezones, Plan Commission gives a recommendation, the city council has all the authority. So whether it's favorable or unfavorable, the council will hold the decision on any rezone. So just to make that clear. You don't have to stay if you don't want, but if you want to stay, you can.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Okay.
Next on the commission's agenda is PCM 6-25. Burge and Held are the development petitioners. Petitioners are requesting a rezone at the 700 block of Jackson Park Drive from RS to R2. They are proposing a 144-unit multifamily apartment complex.
Yeah, good evening. Cole Caress, 8902 North Meridian, Indianapolis, Indiana. First here, I'm going to kind of explain who we are as a group, and then kind of give you guys more details into the project. So Burge and Held will be the developer and owner on this project. We are based out of Indianapolis, and we specialize really in real estate investment, construction, development, and property management. Currently, we're managing over 25,000 apartment units across the country, and through the state of Indiana, we've been named Property Management Company of the Year multiple times through the Indiana Apartment Association's Midwest Multifamily Conference. With that being said, I wanted to make it clear where this development location is. I know there's been some confusion. The legal address is the 700 South Block of Jackson Park Drive, which can be a little bit misleading. We are just south of that Walmart Supercenter and adjacent to the new Burkhardt bypass. Our parcel will be just under 17 acres for these 144 units, putting us at a density at roughly 8.6 units an acre. Currently zoned for single-family residential, and we're looking to move it to multifamily. We also picked this site location because we think not only does it give direct access for residents onto that new boulevard with the foot and bike path, but we thought it created a nice buffer between the existing single-family there to the north and the manufactured homes there to the south. So some details about our project. Like I said, it's a 144 unit workforce housing project geared towards working families here in Seymour. We have a heavy unit count and mix towards 2 and 3 beds to kind of gear our aim at those working families here in Seymour. To qualify to live in this housing, individuals and households would make between roughly $29,000 and $66,000, which attracts a huge portion of the population locally here in Seymour and in Jackson County. That kind of puts our rents for, say, a 1-bed single for a 50% person at the average median income right at about $840 a month. And on the high end, a 3-bed, 2-bath for someone in the 70% AMI level, just at almost $1,650. So Burkhardt Crossing was built here in 2015 on the north side of Burkhardt. And our rents are considerably discounted to what their rents are currently. They're currently sitting at 98% occupied, which is kind of where we're looking at in terms of new housing stock, how's it performing, and kind of identify that need for new housing. So we had a market study done with this project when we first started looking at this parcel of land back in February of 2025. And we identified that although 3 years ago there was estimates in 2022 that roughly 5,300 people are commuting in to Seymour and Jackson County daily to work. The county has just shy of 50,000 people living here, so it's almost 10% that are commuting in daily for their employment. And with that being said, there's only roughly 400 apartments currently at this target level across the entire county. So the addition of 144 units would be great for this community. So kind of now, before we look at the site plan, I wanted to kind of talk about the amenities that will be at the site. Later, a few slides from now, I'll kind of show you a past project that we just opened up here in the spring, so you guys can kind of see. Here we're saying this, and 2, what it kind of is going to look like. So we'll have on-site property management and maintenance. That's a standard no matter what. We'll have an in-ground pool. We'll have a community space and community room with a computer center for those working from home, fitness center, walkable green spaces, direct access to the Burkhardt footpath there, which creates just a safer path for residents. This would be a 3-story building with brick and hardy plank balconies and washer and dryers in unit. Another benefit would be there'd be free Wi-Fi for all residents across the property. And something that we've been recently doing in past years is looking into solar installation. And so this project would have a solar installation that would generate enough electricity for the entire project. And so there's 2 things there. One, all appliances would be electric. And so residents without this would be responsible for their electric bill. But because of this solar energy that we're going to put in, the utility allowances for all tenants will be removed. So we've really found, and we've surveyed people in our communities, that by eliminating the vulnerability of the fluctuating costs that come with utility bills through different seasons, has really taken that potential financial burden off of our residents. And so if there's a shortfall in solar, if there's a resident over using maybe their AC, they're not going to be charged more. There's no catch to it. So if you use your electric more than your neighbor, you're not gonna, there's not any downfall for you as a resident. And so that's been a great addition. That's something we do here both through carports and roof mounts. So that also brings structured parking in some of the parking lot, which can be a huge benefit, especially in the snowy seasons. So going to the site plan, this site plan here is different than maybe a potential site plan that you guys have seen previously that was submitted with our rezone application. The buildings are in the same locations, and those are 3-story buildings with the detached clubhouse there to the northeast of the lot. But we've eliminated the access points through the neighborhood. And we're just focusing on this one currently off of Burkhart. We are going to really focus too on making a berm and screenage to the north to kind of really make that privacy between our project and the existing single family there. We are open to really, this is nowhere set in stone, so we're open to ideas and suggestions, potentially going, we specialize in doing 3-story buildings, but potentially going down to 2 stories and stretching across the whole site. We're open to any and all ideas. If, say, the fire chief thinks we need to have a second entrance there on Burkhart, we're willing to work with what you guys have. Again, this is very preliminary as it's the first time through. So here are the previous projects. This one is in Athens, Georgia. It just opened in April. It would be almost identical to the project that would be going here in Seymour. We have the brick and the hardy plank, the balconies. This one had hardwoods throughout, granite countertops. So really the feel of these apartments is like you're in Market Rate, like you're at Burkhart Crossing. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference in the finishes in the community. The only difference is that this would be an income restriction property. So a little bit about the project timeline. Because this is a tax credit project for workforce housing through the state, we'd get our tax credits in November and look to close and construction start Q2 of 2026. And then from there, we'd expect our first building to open probably 14 months later. So we're looking, by the time we're all said and done across the 4 buildings, most likely Q4 of 2027. So before I wrap up and give you guys opportunity and the audience opportunity to make questions or comments, I wanted to address a few things that I know have been floating around both on Facebook, online comments on articles being written. And so I just wanted to kind of show our side of it. So one I saw was about the Better Business Bureau. And I understand that this is a huge thing across the business world. The apartment world doesn't necessarily focus on the BBB. We really gear towards Google reviews. But the BBB, I saw that people were asking, oh, like they're 1 star on the BBB. And so what they had pulled was just that we have 25 comments on our BBB. Again, we have 25,000 apartments across the country. But they pulled, so we have 25 negative comments, and that was what was pulled to give us that 1 star rating. Here, I can pass this around too, but I went on this morning and looked at our BBB overview page of our business, Virgin Held Asset Management. And here it shows us as an A- rating. And we only have 1 complaint, and it says failure to respond to 1 complaint filed against the business, which resulted in us having an A-. So going back to the 1 star, they were confining that ranking into just these negative comments, and that was resulting in what the 1 star was. The second thing I want to address is who exactly qualifies for living at our properties. Because it's a state program, you either have to be a U.S. citizen or you have to have status in the United States. So our project would not qualify for illegal immigrants in Jackson County and in Seymour.
That's how they all should be, but that's not how it works.
Before I wrap up, we do have an extensive background check process. We are dealing with federal dollars and state dollars, so they do hold us pretty accountable for who's in our projects in terms of background checks and screenings.
I have a question.
Oh,
Okay, hold on.
We're going to give you a chance, but is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna do, opposing first, right?
Fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it's,
That's
how
fine.
everything's listed. Okay. So we want everybody to get to, be able to speak who wants to speak. So we have to do the 3-minute rule tonight, okay? So, anybody here to speak in favor?
Sit down.
There you go.
Good evening, Macy Barley, Jackson County United Way. Jackson County United Way, our mission is to ensure that every resident in Jackson County has the opportunity to thrive. Just this year, we have hosted a series of community conversations across the county and have found the top issue that community members have expressed is a lack of affordable housing throughout Jackson County, specifically in Seymour. At Jackson County United Way, 85% of calls we receive are asking for affordable housing options, rental assistance, and utility cost assistance. One thing we support in this housing proposal is the cost that factors in the average median income level of residents. So at United Way, we use the acronym ALICE. ALICE stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, and Employed. This refers to households that earn above the federal poverty level but cannot afford the basic cost of living in Jackson County. Based on the 2023 ALICE report, 43% of Jackson Township households were considered ALICE families or those living in poverty. This housing proposal, as Cole mentioned, targets working families and individuals making between $29,000 to $66,000. According to ZipRecruiter, the average City of Seymour government employee salary is $49,671,000. Ison USA, $40,030. Roseacre Farms, $33,085. Cummins, $38,876. And Valio, $38,391. If we want people working in our community to stay and contribute, they must have somewhere to live. I urge you to consider supporting this housing proposal. Growth cannot be sustained if we are not accommodating to our community's needs. I would like for you all to think about the question of if this housing proposal does not go through, what is the city's plan to help with the growing need for affordable housing for residents? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else speaking in favor? Okay. Against? Okay. Come on up. Speak your name, please. Oh, and your address. Mayor wants address. Sorry.
My name's Chip Everhart. I live at 1120 Cottage Circle here in Seymour. Been a resident of Seymour for the majority of my life. Born here, raised here. Left for about 4 or 5 years. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you for having this commission. But in my opinion, this is not necessary. And I do come to speak against it. Talking with realtors in the past few days, a couple of weeks ago, there is now abundant vacancies. His data is 6 months old. There's a lot that's changed in the past 6 months.
Yep.
You can travel up and down Indianapolis Avenue alone, and what was once homes full are now empty. The realtors I've spoken to said there's many apartments, but they can't rent them because the rent is so high. He spoke of solar. Before I retired, I developed solar as part of large commercial projects, one of which was a complete farm in Hawaii that I had to go to the fire department of Honolulu and have complete approval. So has the local fire department approved the solar? I'm really curious where the number of panels are going to be put or where their solar field's going to be. Because for that type of an installation, it's going to require a lot, depending on the size and wattage of the panels. Property values in that area will decline. And I know he spoke about some kind of a break between them, but property values will decline. The reputation of the developer is, in my opinion, highly questionable. He spoke to that, but a 1 star is still a 1 star, in my opinion. If necessary for housing, why don't we contact our local contractors? Again, I've talked to 1 or 2 contractors who could self-fund a project, and they say the payback's not there. So why is this moving forward? It has appearances, and I'm not linking it, but it has appearances of part of the build-out of what was turned down here almost a year and a half ago, and that was the Brookings. I'm asking you, please do not approve this zoning change. Thank you.
Thank you.
On the left side, and then hold the MS, and then push it on the 2 small ones
Together at once?
Go ahead, Jerry.
And then
Okay, I do have a question for you. Have you, or are you going to file for a tax or for an abatement for this property?
Yep,
And for how much?
that was part of the city council meeting a month ago.
I know, how much?
4.2.
That's what I thought, $4.2 million they're going to add for tax abatement for this, just so everyone knows.
Jerry, could you state your, I know who you are, but Patty's.
I'm sorry, I'm Jerry Hackney. We live at 728 South Sycamore Road in Seymour. I am a councilman for District 2 and presently the president of the city council. So, that being said, my wife and I, Kathy, and I moved here in 1986. And we've seen a lot of changes in Seymour. Our neighborhood, it used to be quiet and a safe neighborhood. The kids could go out on the street at night and play and, during the day, and we didn't worry about them. It's not that way anymore. And it's not that way, I think, because of all the apartments that we have here now. Jackson Park Apartments, that used to be owned by Don Bishop, and he took very good care of them, and we didn't have problems there. A few days ago, Kathy went around and investigated the number of apartments from O'Brien Street over to Sycamore Road, and including the former Jackson Park Apartments. Believe it or not, there are 764 apartments in that 4-block area. We sure as, don't need to add 144 more. When I look at this proposal, I go back and I see so many things in here that go back to that Brookings Institute proposal. And it's just, we'll pick one here and do it. Okay, they didn't gripe about that, so let's pick another one and do it. And I think it's atrocious. I don't agree with this in any way, shape, or form, and I ask you not to approve it, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. If those,
Can you tell us your name first?
Don Kirk, I live on 1232 Hickory Hill between
Thank you.
Jackson Park and Sycamore. If you build all those apartments and there's families going there, where's all those kids gonna go? Brown School is already maxed out. Jackson School is already maxed out. I drove a school bus. I know. And who is gonna police those single-family dwellings? The places I drive around, there was 7, 8, 9 cars zoned single-family dwelling. And they said, well, we can't check it. Well, I asked one question one morning on Jackson Park. One little boy didn't come out, and I said, is your brother coming? And he said, oh, he's not my brother. He's just a friend living with us for a while. And they come out like that. It's amazing. The trailer park, we've got 6 buses that run out through there. I picked up the high school my first stop. I drove a stub-nosed bus. 75% of the kids got off at one stop. One stop. 3 buses was behind me bringing in the same amount of kids. So where are we going to put all of these kids? My taxes raised on my home for a school. Down the cul-de-sac from me, there's 9 cars. You think they're paying the same amount taxes that I am for that school? No. There's 9 families living in that house. And they're not being policed. So I asked him, who's going to police it? Because it's not being policed now. They're just moving in however many they want. The apartments, they just come out. The trailers, they just come out. And I know that for a fact. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, John Stahl from Seymour. I had a couple questions here, especially about the solar aspect. After teaching electronics for 13 years, I started a company called Solar Designs. And I sure wish, through all the, 45 years that I've been in business, Jeremy knows that, I sure wish that solar collectors would take care of all the energy in a single house, let alone a complex like this. I notice on this brochure it says solar energy will efficiently remove all utility expenses for residents. But in this the spoken language a while ago, it was said that solar energy will capture all the energy for this complex. So do you plan to not hook up to public utilities?
Yeah, I mean, that's a complex conversation, but you go behind the meter, you have a reserve with the utility company there, in case the system went down.
So you plan to hook up to the utilities?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why we don't have the solar and wind supplying everything across this country, because, folks, it doesn't work. It helps. It's a contributor, but it doesn't work. When you talk about taking sunlight energy and converting it through a photovoltaic cell to a minute amount of voltage, and then combining those together, you've got just so much power in that unit that will work. An electric motor pumping water will drain one of those things in half an hour. It's a simple matter of math and understanding of electricity. I really think that this is a little deceiving, to be honest, about the solar.
I don't do public speaking, so bear with me.
We won't bite. You're good.
Susan Robinson, 1213 Hickory Hill. I just had a couple of questions. For the lady from the United Way, why aren't we encouraging people to buy rather than rent?
So obviously, buying is encouraged. It all boils down to credit, right? So buying a home you have to have a good credit score. There's more steps in order to buying than there is renting.
Okay, because the reason why I ask is because the lowest apartment rate here is 50% higher than my house payment. And is there plans to put some sort of perimeter around this complex?
Fencing?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What are the plans?
I mean, we could look into doing more higher berms with trees. We could put a hard fence in, for privacy. We're open to any ideas.
Because,
Nothing set in stone.
okay, because the one gentleman was talking about how maxed out our current elementary school is. Is there plans for the city to build more schools?
That would be a school board
You'd have to talk to
issue.
the school corporation on that.
Okay. And it's my understanding that the school board did pass a rule or a law that says anyone within half a mile of a school cannot take the bus, they must walk. Does anyone know if that's true?
I think that verbiage isn't quite correct. It's close, but
Okay.
there is something that there may not be a bus stop located within that distance. It does not deny them access to free busing. It's
Okay.
just that a formalized stop may not be available in that area.
Okay, thank you. So the kids that live at this complex will be traveling over to Brown on foot because they're within a half mile of Brown Elementary.
So we've not broke ground. There's nothing here yet. So there's no bus stop affiliated with that yet.
Okay.
So and once again, that's not a question for us. That's a school board determination.
Okay, so, and another question I had was, you're saying that the property is addressed as the 700 block of Jackson Park Drive. However, this gentleman is saying that the driveway will be off of Burkhart. Why the discrepancy? Why wouldn't we say that it's a Burkhart address rather than, oh, I'm at my time limit.
Sorry.
Thank you.
May I answer her question?
You may not.
I may not.
You may not. Thank you very much.
Well, is somebody up there gonna answer it?
Well, the kids walk a half a mile now.
Once again, that's not what we're here about. So.
Hi, my name's Dan Stein. I live at 1205 Hickory Hill Road. I've lived there for 42 years. My question is, who is responsible for approval of the sanitary and storm sewers? And also on the fire hydrants. There's only 3 fire hydrants on Jackson Park Drive, and they're all on the north side of the road. And the storm sewers, if you look at the contour of that ground when it was a farm ground, all the water runs down to the intersection at Sycamore and Hickory Hill Road. And I've seen kids out there in canoes because there's no way of getting that groundwater off. There's also a creek just north of the plots, and that runs straight into the Muscatac Wildlife Refuge. And the contour of that dirt, unless it's moved or you have a different piping system, it's all going to go down to Sycamore and Hickory Hill Road, and then it will go out to the creek that's just south of Tipton Street. So you got a creek on the north side and a creek on the south side, and that's all the storm sewer that there is. And so I just think there ought to be more investigation into that. Also, there was a project to put in residential housing a few years back, and the council approved it, and this is 20 years ago, but they came in and did a study of the soil, and the soil was not conducive to putting in the foundation, that they were going to have to pipe water over to the Muscatac River, and so it was canceled because of the additional costs required to do that. And I haven't seen anything that says how they're going to deal with the surface water from all these and the storm sewer for an additional 144 toilets. Are they going to require another lift station? And I don't know if that's the city's responsibility or the developer's responsibility.
Well, the developer will have to make a plan, and then Bernie Hausberger's our engineer, so he would look at it along with our wastewater treatment plant for the drainage and the sewer and the storm sewer.
And
So
is
that's
that
too
done
early
before
for
it's-
that plan right now, but they'll have to submit a plan and it'll have to get approved.
So it'll do that before it goes to the council?
This is just a rezone. So what we're talking about tonight, you guys are talking development, but we're talking about, is this property good for apartments?
Okay.
So that's really all this board can talk about tonight.
How can you determine?
Designs and all that will come if they get approval, then they'll give us a design for their project.
Then those
How can-
approvals have to be approved as well.
But if you don't do any analysis of putting in some soil samples in the area,
Right.
then you really shouldn't make that decision yet.
Yeah. My assumption is, and I've seen this happen, you get approved for a project, but if you can't meet our ordinances and our drainage and our runoff, then that project doesn't go.
Okay,
Even if it gets approved, you gotta meet our ordinances.
okay.
I don't want to get into the details because we'll be here forever, but we do have a comprehensive review of their project. They have engineers and architects that will design this to better than state code, most likely, and we'll expect the very best out of construction out of this facility. So I'm confident that it can be built on. It can be built on at this location too.
That's not the question, whether it should be built.
Yes, hi, I'm Larry Hartley. I live at 725 South Sycamore Road, and, which is the actual block that's being discussed. I'm kind of a bottom line guy. Personally, I don't think it's a good plan. Doesn't matter if I think it's a good plan or not. That's up to them to make it a good plan. I just don't think it should be there. I think that the qualifications that we listen to, all the things that this company has done supposedly and has not done, whatever, those things are irrelevant. Because this is a bad place for 140 apartments. It's just a bad spot. We've got all these nice houses, and it'd be great for some more nice houses, a little cul-de-sac, run around and grab into Hickory. That'd be wonderful. But 144 apartments, I think, bordering on that old, nice neighborhood that since the 70s it's been there. My house is 82. The other thing is I'd like to address what the nice lady from the United Way says about the need. Again, if it's a bad spot, it doesn't matter that we have a need. The other thing is to prioritize people who have never done a thing for Jackson County or anywhere over these people who have invested their lives, their savings, their retirements, and their nest eggs to raise families. That's who's going to get hurt. Our property values are going to plummet. So there's some cheap houses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Anna Holland. I live at 1216 Hickory Hill Road, and I just do not think this is a good move for the community. I think it'd be great if we want to develop some housing, because when you develop houses and people actually buy, they're buying into your community. People that rent, they may or may not stay. What they buy, they value, they take care of. And I'm totally opposed to it because my property value will go down. And I've lived there for 20 years.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Howard Stockdale. I live at 1244 Hickory Hill Road. I've lived there since '78, and I even lived in Jackson Park Apartments prior to that, back when Nancy Hemmer owned them. I've seen nothing but a decline in the tenants, if you will, of that area. We've seen more apartments come in, Glick. We've seen expansion over on the trailer park. I've seen houses broken into, sheds broken into, crime. You talked about storm sewers. I've seen water 3 feet deep, at least, at that intersection. And it still floods on down on Hickory Hill Curve right now. And I understand it at the corner of Jackson Park Drive and Hickory Hill Road. That's not even a sewer. That is what they call a French drain. Most of the time, water just sits in there. I've seen them work on that lift station across the street from where I live several times. They've talked about all the problems they have with some of the immigration that's come into the area. We've seen property values, I believe, are going to go down. The homes that are occupied by folks who have immigrated in here recently have just deteriorated to the point of you even hate to walk by it. And it's getting more and more. And you talk about water pressure, the city has actually went around and actually painted the tops of the fire hydrants to indicate what kind of pressure the fire department may expect from those hydrants. And that came from Mayor Matt. I oppose this. There may be better places for this, but not that area. I know it shows one exit onto that Burkhardt. We've seen an increase in traffic since they opened up that Burkhardt. Trying to get out of Hillcrest onto Burkhardt at the top quitting times from the factories is almost impossible. It's just not a good deal. Thank you.
Lester Ball. I live at 1200 Hickory Hill Road, and that's right at the end of Jackson Park Drive. I'm the last one on South Jackson Park Drive, so I sit on the corner. So my house, basically the property is right behind me. And one of my big concerns is pretty much a safety issue with what we have in the community down there right now. I've called the police numerous times. I can sit on my porch. We have drug dealings going on out of Jamestown's apartments. And it must be easy for them to come over on Jackson Park Drive because they come right out there and sit on the road and sell the drugs. We have them coming out from the trailer court in the back. They come out across the field to the end there. I've called the police. They show up. They've arrested different people for selling drugs right there on the street coming out of Jamestown apartment. These low-income houses that he's talking about putting in, you all know what kind of people will revert into that place. I mean, we're not stupid. We know what's going to come in there. So now I'm going to have it at Jamestown. I'm going to have it at the apartments back at the trailer court. And I'm also going to have it coming out of here. Now, don't tell me this is not going to create a problem and a safety issue. Right now, we have people, you can be sitting in your yard or sitting at home on your porch. There will be people from the areas come up and walk through your yard. And you tell them to get out of your yard. Hey, what are you doing in my yard? I mean, I'm a guy that will approach him. Yeah, I will approach him. I'm going to approach him. Hey, what are you doing? I mean, me and my wife was out trimming the grass. And all of a sudden I look, and here comes a guy out of the field across my back driveway. That's a private driveway just in my yard. And I said, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just cutting across through here. You bring this housing in, it's going to make it completely more unsafe for all of us individuals living there. And we don't need that. Just like they said before, I've lived here for 40 years. I've retired now. I put all my life into my home. I kind of take pride in it too. They had that yard of the month, whatever. I got that one time. I didn't even know what it was. And they come to my house and put me in payroll. Oh, this is pretty good. Now I'm sitting here fighting with people, showing me no respect of what I have. And I don't care what it is. You bring the people in and let them move into this low-income housing, they're going to show you no respect. I've stood there at my house and turned around and walked out the door and looked, 2 guys standing there in the field taking a leak. And I said, what the hell are you guys doing? Oh, we're just using the bathroom. This is what we're bringing into this neighborhood. I absolutely do not want this behind my house any more than I've already got it. I mean, it's terrible. None of you guys would like this. I know you would not want me to come to your house and do that in your yard. Show me some respect, and you're not gonna get it out. I hate to stereotype these people. You're not gonna get it out of these kind of people. They could care less what you got. The only thing they wanna do, they've got a certain amount of money coming in.
Thank you,
Only
sir.
way they're gonna make the rest of their money is something illegal, and you're bringing that more and more into our neighborhood. And
Thank
I
you.
just think this is just gonna be a pain in the butt for everybody. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Jim Lucas, I live at 1114 East 4th Street, born and raised in Seymour. I want to make this a simple math thing. You've got, what, 17 acres that's already zoned for single family? Okay, you turn those into third acre lots, you can get roughly 45, 50 homes out of there. A community is based on how condensed its population is. When you look at property taxes, as a state rep, that's the one thing I'm hearing most about is property taxes. Okay, property taxes pay for your schools, police departments, fire departments, EMS, roads, bridges, and libraries. Okay, if you condense 144 families, and this isn't low-income housing, it's apartments. Houses are houses. Okay, you condense 144 families in a space of where 45 or 50 families are, they are going to absorb way more social services than what they're paying for. And we're seeing that right now. If you go off Seymour's census numbers, 22,000 people is what Seymour's rated at. Okay, compare that to our school population. School population is the only accurate head count you can get. Based on the school population, Seymour has a population of 34 to 40,000 based on schools. If Seymour had the state average of students in the schools based on 22,000, we'd only have 3,500 students. We have 5,400 students. 35% of those are EL students. Now, again, it doesn't matter, but it's math. We are down to simple math right now. You keep bringing in more and more apartments, you're just going to continue to overwhelm the services that are already overwhelmed right now. Based on those numbers, our police department is short about 26 officers. They're almost 50% shy. And I would assume that applies to the fire department too. Our schools are busting at the seam. To build a new school, it's going to be 40, 50 million bucks. Okay, these guys right here are going to get a $4.5 million property tax break. That property tax burden goes on to the middle class, your seniors on fixed incomes. The people's already paying it. They're busting at the seams right now. They can't take anymore. So to continue to add to that burden is irresponsible. It's not planning ahead, and it's just reactionary. I ask you to call time out on this one. Sit and think it through. Think of what you want for Seymour for the next 5 or 10 years. Do we want to keep bringing in low-income apartments that will service people that will overwhelm our services and create a further burden on what's already been created? That's all I ask.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Yes.
My name is Sheila Downey. I live at 1325 Hickory Hill Court, and I've lived in Seymour for about 8 years. I love the community. I love the community. I am concerned for the children of this community if we have more people live in these apartments, walking up and down Jackson Park Road. There is no sidewalks. We come home at night, or in the daytime even, and we see people pushing baby carriages, walking with walkers and wheelchairs, and there's no sidewalks. And if we have this much more traffic going up and down that street, what's going to happen to these people? Somebody's going to be hurt. I am very concerned about what we're going to do with that much traffic and no sidewalks. I know that's very simple compared to what everybody else has to say, but it's dealing with life. We're dealing with children, disabled people, old people, and just the everyday family that wants to walk up and down the street. They can't, because they're gonna the traffic's gonna be so heavy, they're gonna be afraid they're gonna get killed or their children are gonna get killed. I would hate to see my great-grandchildren I live with ride a bike down Jackson Park, because I'm afraid of what would happen. That's all I have to say, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm Chuck Seabold. I live at 626 East 14th Street, and I'll keep this very brief. I haven't heard the need for this apartment complex coming into Seymour. I just heard a very dear friend of mine say that we've got an overreach of open apartments, vacant apartments right now. We've got housing out the wazoo. I haven't heard the need for these out-of-town folks, other than their profitability, okay, for them to come in and get a tax abatement and everything else on our shoulders. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay. Questions by the commission? Any questions? Final?
I did have one for Cole on the solar question.
Sure.
If you do hook up to public utility, would that be a part of like their contract, that they wouldn't get additional costs passed on to them?
Yeah, right. So there'd still be a service fee, annual service fee that'd be paid to the utility company. That amount, I'm not sure. And then if the facility went short on us, then we'd hook into the grid as kind of a backup. I do want to make the solar thing kind of clear. We've done 3 or 4 of these projects with solar in the last 2 years, and they have 100% ran these projects. In the event that they don't, us as the owner is taking on the responsibility of the electric bill. So there would be no downfall for a resident, and in fact, the residents wouldn't even know.
Could you tell me where one of your projects that the self-supported electricity is?
Yeah, so we have one in Athens, Georgia. We'll have one opening here in 6 months in Fishers, Indiana. We have one in Canterbury Point down in Texas. So yeah, there's and it's growing, and we've seen the systems that they're now running with are pretty efficient. Someone had asked, maybe, is the site big enough to fully house this, and it is, between both carports and solar mounts, without having to do a solar farm with the adjacent extra land. We would be able to put it all up on solar carports and mounts.
So your plans, because the total acreage on this is 36.935 acres. Your proposal is for 17 acres of that, so you would use that remainder spot for your solar area? Is that what we're maintaining?
No. So I only have under contract the top 16 and a half acres.
Okay.
So we'll have to go through a plat change or whatever on that. I was advised to come through this meeting before we did that.
Okay. You have an option on the other?
I do not. No option there.
And just for clarification for me, there's only going to be one entrance off of Burkhardt. You will not use Jackson Park as a road, so you won't continue to Jackson Park and make that a road.
Right, I think that's a good clarification too. There was some comments about possible residents getting on, maybe by foot, onto Jackson Park Drive, and I know that the legal address of this property is Jackson Park Drive. But to your point, there will not be direct access from our site onto those 3 residential side streets. And in fact, we'll be having that screened, possibly fenced, with a berm. So it would be pretty difficult, even to come from the existing manufactured home community there, to come through onto those residential streets. I mean, I think it would actually, as I was hearing, I think it almost would help that problem, because there's another obstacle of fencing and whatnot that foot traffic would have to get through to get on that residential neighborhood.
I've been on this board for a long time. Yeah. We've resisted really long streets with no, in fact, Bernie could probably tell us what the maximum cul-de-sac length is.
Yeah. Are you talking for fire safety or anything else? Yeah, so we could go, I mean, just south of there. I think currently in the ordinance, there might be something that entrances have to be more than 900 feet on Burkhardt. So we'd have to try to get clarification on that, but we're open to having that second entrance off of Burkhardt, pushing, you know, some of the buildings back, creating more of that neighborhood community feel rather than keeping them all up on the road. Again, this is a very early site plan, so I mean, we're willing to work with fire, with police, every department, just to make sure, you know, if you need a fire truck backup or you got to get a ladder truck in there, what does that look like? And we'll run that whole analysis before we even come close to breaking ground.
May I make a quick point of what he's just said?
Well, right now, we're gonna do we'll give you a chance.
Okay.
Anybody else questions up here?
Questions by the commission?
I have a question to you as part of the Seymour Housing Authority. Can you speak to the need for rental properties?
There is a need for rental properties. Especially one bedrooms right now. I have families looking for 3 bedrooms. And I don't deal with any immigrants. You have to have a social security card and a matching birth certificate. This property is going to have on-site management, and it sounds like the utilities are going to be included. They're not going to allow families to move in people that are not on the lease. I mean, that's not.
Oh, that's great.
Come on, folks.
One person with social
Come on, folks.
And then they move the rest in.
Hold on.
So
This is a tax credit property. It's not a private owned. We have landlords that only want to rent to them. And they don't care how many live in their units because they pay cash.
Isn't
So
that county of the city's part of the ordinances on the books? You just admitted it.
There's talk of it. I don't work for the city. I'm Seymour Housing Authority.
Just acknowledge that there are multiple people living in a single residence.
This is not.
Everybody knows that. That's not. I mean.
This is a rezone petition, folks.
Yeah, we're not even.
This is not a free for all. Come up in here and shout. This is a rezone petition. We need to stay on task.
Anybody got a question up here for?
Do we know how
I got
far
one-
it is from
one
the
more,
school?
Jeremy. Educate me, in your handout, it says rents would be between $846, 50% AMI. What's AMI?
Yeah. Sorry, I should have explained that. So each year in roughly, I say May 1st, we hope it's May 1st every year, HUD, federal agency, comes out with AMIs, which is average median income. And so they'll identify each county's AMIs across the entire country each year. And so then in our business, our rents are then reflected off of that AMI number that's updated, again, every year by HUD. And so when looking at this, 50% AMI would be on the lower end of someone. It says their maximum income here is just shy of $47,000, right? And so that's, 29,000 would be the minimum that would be a 1-bed 50% unit. And so then to see the max rent there, for the $1,400 3-bed, that would be someone who's at 70% with a full family. So they do the income levels by HUD, and then HUD actually then breaks it down by household size. So a 3-bedroom, I want to say is 4.5 people. A 1-bedroom's 1.5, a 2-bedroom's 3 people, and so that's kind of how they do their AMI counts. Does that answer your question?
So, no, not really.
Okay.
$846.
Yep.
How much is the rent going to be? I assume that the 50% is a discount off of that 846.
No, so that would be their rent. For a 50% 1-bedroom unit, $846 would be their monthly rent.
Okay.
Which is your baseline, which is the base, right?
Yeah.
That's the way this reads.
Any other questions? Kendra, did I get to answer your question? Okay.
You did something about the elementary school?
Yeah, I wondered.
I don't have the exact mileage, but I want to say it's within half a mile.
Okay.
Yeah.
will there be a change? The official address is the Jackson Park, but when it goes to the other side, will it go to a Burkhardt address? Because that would, obviously, going around Burkhardt all the way around to Brown would make a huge difference in how close that is to the.
Yeah. They'll be asking me for an address.
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, you have to just give it, you know, a farm field, so it doesn't really have it. But when their development comes, if it gets passed, then they'll come to me and want an address because they need utilities.
Okay, but like if you're looking at the back end.
It won't be that address.
The back end of the property, it may be within half a mile, but the front end of the property it would not be with road access.
I would assume it would have a Burkhardt address in the end.
Any other questions by the commission?
I'd like to make a point when you're done.
Okay. Go ahead.
Indiana Public Utilities Commission requires that any solar be fed back to the provider. So what he is saying is not exactly true. The residents will not get a credit. The residents will pay a utility bill from Duke Energy. I know that because I've done projects, tried to, in Jackson County, and it would all have to be fed back to rural electric. Same way with North Carolina, same way with Northern Indiana. 3.5 acres is not even close to what this gentleman's going to need. It's going to be required 20 to 50 acres. All due respect, you're jerking everybody's chain.
Do you have a final summary, Cole?
Yeah, I mean, I think the community would take great benefit from a project like this. Clearly, there's a need. United Way here is an independent party in your county that's trying to help your people, and we're trying to do the exact same thing. It's just try to help. And by creating new housing, boosts economies, brings new jobs, helps your local restaurants, helps your downtown redevelopment. And we see it as a great, not only need, but benefit for the future of Seymour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. We'll vote at this time.
Can I ask a question?
We're getting ready to vote.
Let him talk, but you won't let anyone.
But you could talk. Go ahead.
I just want to ask him a question.
Yeah.
You're not going to open Jackson Park Drive, but you're going to open Sycamore Road to it?
No, let's make that clear for everyone. The only entrance point right now is off Burkhardt Boulevard. The neighborhood's there, the street's there.
On your little map, it showed opening Sycamore Road.
Yeah, so that was our first, yeah.
Have you been out in that area?
Yeah, and I'm sorry that there's confusion there. Our first site plan did have that, you are correct. We have an updated site plan. I'm more than happy to give you a copy. That just has an entrance point currently off of Burkhardt, and there's potential for a second entrance off of Burkhardt. But again, nothing is getting touched with the existing that's there.
So if you're coming off Burkhardt, you're going to be crossing the walking trail.
Yep, that's correct. When the city extended Burkhardt bypass, there's actually an existing entrance point to the site that was built and is currently gravel. So there was plans for someone to enter there with future development.
Yeah, there's other things that cross that walking.
Here we go. Shut it down.
Yeah. Moron Trail
Okay.
has crosses everywhere.
Check your phones.
Sandra K. Monroe and a few other of her family members.
And she's from West Lafayette?
I'm not positive where she's from. I'm sorry.
Voted yes.
Yeah. Have we voted?
Thank you.
Thank you for your.
Yeah, of course.
Once again, this is just a recommendation. This isn't a final vote. This gets handed to council, so.
So it looks like it passed 6-4 with one being absent.
Be handed to city council with
It's just a recommendation.
I'm very disappointed.
Absolutely.
Very much so.
I would encourage everybody that's here tonight, make sure you come to the council meeting, because
And when will that
you'll
be?
be there. Chris?
The next council meeting will be August 25th. That's a Monday night, 7 p.m. in this room.
Well, I hope all of you get this in your neighborhoods.
Jeremy, anything else on the agenda?
I don't, unless anybody else have anything on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved. So moved.
Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Can I vote on that?
Oh, yeah. Hey,